And we are, I believe, live. Is it? Yep. Welcome back, Alchemists. This is the 52 Weeks to Wealth Principle 41. Create an environment that will force you to grow. Now, we've been in this 52 Weeks to Wealth for 3 years. Who here has been on the calls for 3 full years? This is your third season. Excellent. Let's give yourselves a round of applause. The OGs, originals. We're in here to make more money and do less work. Hence, care if that's true for you. You're still here, doubling your income, double your net worth. That's the whole point. So you might ask, why do people come and do this again and again and again? Well, it's because once you've doubled your money, you can still double your money again and again, and it works. I've been doing net worth trackers with a lot of the people who jumped into the mastery program, and I'm seeing people's net worth that I knew 3 years ago, 4 years ago, were sometimes a negative or just had like under 6 figures, and now they're in the 7 figures and they're getting into the multiple 7 figures. So let's give all of our millionaires a big round of applause. 24 confirmed millionaires received awards at the 100 Millionaires Summit this year. So we know it works. We know that this process of building millionaires is something that anybody can follow. Now, I'm not saying anybody can be a millionaire. I want to be very clear. Who here knows you got to put in some work. You got to want it bad enough. You got to have a reason to make $1 million. This money doesn't just flow to you unless you first desire it to flow to you, unless you first say it's okay for me to receive a lot of money. If you desire it and you work for it, then there's a good chance you're going to get it. Who here is willing to put in the work? If you're willing to put in the work this year to get to that $1 million status, to get to that next level, to level yourself up, I love it. So we're on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. This is why we do the 52 Weeks to Wealth every single week, every Saturday. If you're watching this on Facebook and you're wondering how do you get into this call, you can go to ibuildmillionaires.com. I do love bragging that we own iBuild Millionaires. It's the coolest thing. So let's give Ron a round of applause, my business partner, for grabbing that domain. I was on a call this week with one of our mastery students, Larry Steinhaus. And Larry, he said, man, like, I've been doing coaching for a long time. He owns investor schooling. He's donated courses to Alchemist Nation. And he said to me, he said, man, like, I got to tell you, every time I see I Build Millionaires, I think, shit, that should have been mine. So if you're in the space, right, you're a coach, you're a speaker, you're like attracting people, your domain really should say what you do. And for years and years and years, we didn't do that. So let me dive into Wealth Principle 41. Create an environment that will virtually force you. By the way, hands to the camera if you are currently focused on improving your environment. You're getting rid of the broke friends, getting rid of maybe the clutter in your life, the proverbial clutter. By the way, most of it is going to be relationship based. Who here knows your network is your net worth? It's all about who you know. I said that wrong. It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you and what they know you for. Because if they don't know that you're a source of solve a problem solution, a solution to a problem, then there's a good chance they're not going to call you when they got that problem. Who here has had a friend or family member use somebody else instead of using them? Has anybody ever suffered the loss of a family member being like, yeah, I use somebody else? My brother just did a $1.3 million refinance on his building. And he called me up and he said, hey, man, I'm going through this refinance and this lender. I'm not really sure if the lender's like treating me okay, like taking care of me. And like, I got all these questions and they're charging me these upfront fees. And I just sat there quietly because I was like, dude, I own Alchemist Financial. I would have hooked you up, right? Frank would have just slid the loan right through. We would have taken very, very little. Guys taking 2 points. And I was just like, man, like, you know whose fault that is? It's not Josh's fault. That's my fault. I didn't let him know that we do commercial loans. Hands can, if you've ever made this mistake, you let somebody else, right? You let somebody else down. You let your family member, your friends down because you didn't tell them what they do. So just before we get this principle started, I want you to write this down. I want you to text everybody in your phone this week and just be like, yo, hey, by the way, just so you know, I'm in this business. If you shifted your career and everybody knows you to be like, I was in finance, or I was an accountant, so everybody knew me as that. And first, nobody knew me as that, right? And scary if like nobody knows what you do anyway. So like nobody knew me as that. I had no database, no friends. And when I shifted into real estate, I had to start letting people know, like, I'm not just this guy who was sitting in a cubicle. I now had my real estate license, or I was real estate investing. I was looking for deals. So just before we get started into the principle, I want to point that out. Funny conversation that I had this week. So Wealth Principle 41. Millionaire Wealth Principle 41. This is not, by the way, not for small-minded people who are just like, I want to make an extra $10,000 this year. This is the people who want to make $10,000 passive income per month. People who want to quit their day jobs and be able to retire. I retired at 30, right? 30 years old, I was retired, but I was only making 40 grand a year. At 32, I was a millionaire. And I was still only making around 100, 150,000 a year. At 34, I became a multimillionaire, and that's where the $250,000 income started coming in. Now 36, we're building millionaires, we're paying it forward, we're showing others the way, and I've got an amazing community. Let's give all of our millionaires, the 24 millionaires who are in here, a big round of applause for sharing their knowledge, for sharing their stories, for letting others know it's possible. At the 100 Millionaire Summit, we had 50 millionaires in the room, 200 attendees, but 50 were millionaires. And those millionaires, you know what I kept hearing was, oh my God, like I'm actually successful. Like a lot of the millionaires, like you weren't even aware of like the success level they'd accomplished. But when you start talking to normal, like people who are just kind of coming into this community, like beginners, novices, right? Those Tyro alchemists, we start realizing like, wow, like you've come a long way. So let's give our millionaires one more round of applause. Sometimes they don't even know what they've already accomplished. And then what I also heard was people who were talking to millionaires and being like, oh my God, this is possible. Who had that experience at the summit? Like you talk to somebody and you're like, oh my God, like this person, no offense, millionaires, this person is a normal human being. They're just like me, right? Like that, like this guy lost his hair when he was in his 20s. So like, I guess if I'm balding, that doesn't mean I can't be rich, right? He never fixed his teeth. He's got those gaps. So like, I guess if I fix my teeth, I don't have to, that doesn't mean I'm going to be rich, right? You don't got to be pretty to be successful, but you do have to show up and you do have to surround yourself with the right people. So let's talk about creating an environment that will virtually force you to grow. And by the way, everything that you see right now is your environment. If you're in this Zoom with us, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're in a room, look around, look at the room that you're in right now. How does this room support you? Is this room forcing you to grow? You will become what your environment creates. Now, outside of the room, outside of the space, the house you live in, the city you live in, there are 7 characteristics of a growth environment. I'm going to focus on the people because I believe people are more important than any other aspect of your life. You change your friends, you change your income, you change your community, you change the way you think, you change your religion, you start changing the way you treat people. Hands to if you've seen this, right? You go and change, you go into a 12-step program. We have a lot of people who've been through 12-step programs, and suddenly they start changing their activities, start changing their habits. So number 1, a place where you get ahead. Actually, before I even do this, let me talk about winter because it's cold right now. Here's noticing where you're at. It's a little cold. It's a little chilly. I see some of the hoodies. I see some of the generate income hoodies on. Hell yeah. So in the summit, it was a little chilly, right? We freeze the rooms because the speakers on stage are all wearing suits. So make sure when you're at live events, bring one of your generate income hoodies. And I noticed this morning, I was like, it's actually a little cold here in Tampa. So we're like 60 degrees or 55 degrees today. It's like a cold front in the Tampa, Florida market. And I realized like winter is like coming. Winter's like a couple days away. It's here, it's coming. And we're also economically in a winter. Who can call a recession an economic winter, right? I remember back in 2018, Mitch used to always talk about the crypto winter, right? Where crypto was like, it banged up, it had its nice summer, then there was fall, and then it was straight into winter, and it's just nothing happening for a long time. Cold, right? And for right now, you look at crypto, you look at stocks, even real estate, you're starting to feel like, okay, winter might be coming. Who here knows after winter is spring? And spring is a very different season from winter. See, winter is a time to go into your house and study. It's a time to reach deeper into your awarenesses. It's a time to practice things that you can't actually apply yet because it's not time to go and harvest those crops. Fall is a time to plant seed in many cases. When I used to take care of my own lawn, I used to plant the seed in fall so it would come up in the spring. Over winter, it would just lie dormant. So there's a lot of things that are lying dormant right now in your business, in this market, in your mindset. Now's the time to kind of be developing them, putting them to work and adjusting them. So after winter is spring. Now, spring is known for life. It's known for things just popping out of the ground. In fact, it springs because things like literally would be gone, nothing small, and then they'd spring up, right? Like, so your business, when spring hits, is only able to pop as big as you prepared in advance during winter. Did you prepare stores for winter, right? Many of us are sitting on cash right now. We're liquidating assets. We're getting into a position to be able to acquire. A lot of us did refinances in 2021 and 2020. We pulled a lot of cash out. We've been storing up for the winter. Who here knows after winter is spring, and spring is a great opportunity. And I'm not just talking seasons. Like, this recession could go for a year. It could go for 2 years. And it may be a little bit longer than some like, and it may be shorter than others like. Some who here'd love to have like 10 years to prepare for winter, right? 10 years of winter to prepare for spring. It'd be fantastic. 2008, I recognized that I was not prepared. Spring was there, right? Spring was there. 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the prices of real estate were super low. Like, you could buy, and like anything you bought was a great deal. Who remembers these times? Remembers not buying enough? Am I the only one who feels like they didn't buy enough? So during that season, what I made a commitment back in 08 was, I will never let a spring come again where I'm not in a position where I can just pounce on everything I desire. So I want you this winter to be building yourself. So I want you to be focusing on the right activities. So we're going to go through what those are right now. And this is changing your environment so it forces you to grow. Number one, be in a place where others are ahead of you. When you put yourself in a place where others are ahead of you, like you join a team, or you join a company, or you join a mission or a movement, or say you're running and you're a runner, it's the people in front of you become a target. You start chasing after them. You start seeing what's possible. You start going towards the thing in front of you. If you're the only one in front, then there's a good chance now the only gauge you have is your mental ability. It's your physical body just testing things. But when there's something in front of you, for some reason, we always find more juice. Who's noticed this before in your life? When there's something like a target in front of you, there's something to aim at, it's just so much easier for us to flow all of our energy towards it. That's just how we're wired as human beings. It's not something to try to change, because I tried to change it. And I was like, okay, I just want all internal things. And I noticed that's a lot harder than just picking somebody ahead of you and chasing. Hands if you've also felt this. Be in a place where people are ahead of you. Wherever you are, there must be people ahead of you, pushing further, pushing harder. Number two, a place where you continually are challenged. If you're not continually challenged, there's a good chance that the environment has become stagnant for you. You're no longer growing. You're no longer in an opportunity for you to level up. So you must constantly be seeking out these environments where you're continuously challenged. And I don't mean like small challenges. I mean challenges that move you in the direction of your growth, a direction that you want to become more proficient in. Hence, if you want to make more money again, you want to make more money this year, and you want to do it more efficiently. So you're not spending a ton of time. You want to do it in a meaningful way. Who wants impact? You want to make money that is also good money, like it's really changing the world. So go to an environment that is going to create that for you. It's going to challenge you to be a little bit better, be a little bit sharper. Some environments like this would be, one for me is masterminds, right? I'm in masterminds of the top real estate influencers in the country. And I paid $25,000 to get into that mastermind. Now that mastermind is people all higher than me. Just about there's like 150 of us. Just about every one of them is at a higher level. Hence, if you recognize, I'm continuously challenged by being in that room. And they're always asking to serve each other. They're always asking us, hey, how can you help each other? How can you help each other? How can you help each other? So I'm continuously challenged to build like Alchemist Nation components out so that I can serve at a higher level. Many times I'm finding these influencers already have stuff built. And I'm just like, what can I do? What partner can I take on to level myself up? Hence, if you're committed to being in a place that continuously challenges you. Excellent. Number three, a place where your focus is totally forward. So you must be in a place where your focus is always moving in the right direction. Forward is relative to whatever you want. Who here is committed to becoming a millionaire or a multimillionaire or a decamillionaire, pentamillionaire, or a decamillionaire? Maybe a ventamillionaire, that's 20 millions, or the 100 million, or the full 100 millionaire. Absolutely. I see some of you. I noticed as the number went up, some went down. That's why we bring so many people into the community, because some are going to drop off, and that's okay. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But you want to be in a place that is focused on forward. Whatever forward is for you, start going to that place where you're able to be 100% focused on, just moving towards it. For me, it's anybody who says they're building millionaires. I'm like, okay, that's a place for me to spend time. It's a place for me to learn. Number four, a place where the atmosphere is affirming. There are affirmations, right? Words that are good things for you. A lot of times we go to bed. Who here's ever gone to bed at night, right? Who's gone to bed at night? Anybody? I think we all have tried this at least once in our lives. You go to bed at nighttime when the sun's down. In that space, in that atmosphere, I listen to hypnosis. I listen to positive affirmations. I listen to the dreams that I aspire to create, the things I want programmed into my mind. Who's ever tried this before? Listen to hypnosis or a book at night while you were sleeping. Just kind of let it flow into your mind over your thoughts. When you listen to those things while you're sleeping, your mind is still active. In fact, our mind is just as active when we're asleep as we are when we're awake. So it's solving problems. It's taking in processing. Dreams are a manifestation of the things that you process throughout the day. It's your brain saying, okay, let me process everything that I went through today. It's still going through. The brain never stops running. And if it does, well, game over. So, your brain stopped running in the middle of this call. I apologize. Give yourselves a round of applause for still being here, for waking up. Being wide awake, engaged. So a place where your atmosphere is affirming, this can be in your office, this can be your bathroom, the mirror in the bathroom, just little affirmations. It can be a company that you're in, a community that you're in. It can be in form of hypnosis that you listen to, or words that you say to yourself. Just make sure that it's easy for, in fact, one of the examples is our kitchen cabinets. Thanks to Mike and Brenda, we have these little cutout affirmations that when we go to open the cabinets, these little affirmations there, like you are successful, or all the answers are within, like these great affirmations. Hands care, if you can change your environment, you can add little things to your environment. It's your house, right? And if somebody in your house has a problem with you putting affirmations up on the cabinet, you got two options. Either one, remove them from your environment, or remove yourself from that environment. And I'm not saying do anything drastic. I'm just saying put some stuff up on your walls and see what happens. Hence, if you can take that challenge, just go and put some things up, that positive affirmations that'll move you forward. Number 5, a place where you wake up excited. This could be your office, right? Like for me, I'm so excited to come and get into this room because I know I get to do something cool. I bought the podcast equipment. I bought the cameras. I bought the lights. I bought the books. I've read the books. It makes me feel like I'm doing it right. Who here feels better when you're wearing better clothes, right? You go into a networking event, you're dressed appropriately. You're like, man, I'll come in here. I'm feeling like a boss. Everybody else better notice I dressed up today. You're welcome. Congratulations. Give yourselves another round of applause if you dress up right for networking events, right? But create a space where you feel excited to wake up. It is about feelings, right? As logical investors, we're always like pushing our feelings away, hiding our feelings, not sharing our emotions. Who's been guilty of this before? Just like burying emotions deep down so nobody sees them. If you're feeling good, you're going to be taking great action, right? The more power, the more feeling, energy is feelings is energy. The more of that you have behind what you're doing, the more doing you're going to get done. Like the more things are going to happen for you. Who here knows they could wake up a little more excited? Like there's some room to be waking up a little more excited. That is up to you. You decide like what you're waking up to, right? You decide like when you wake up, what do you see? When you wake up, what is the first thing in your mind? What are you hunting towards? What are you working towards? What reward are you putting out there for yourself to get excited about the day? Right? There's a lot. Like you can play with yourself. There's a lot of things that you could do to get yourself excited every single morning. Hands can if you commit to picking one thing right now, just write it down on a piece of paper. What's one thing? We're actually doing this together, an exercise. What's one thing you can do to place in your house so that you get excited in the morning? Could be like, I like going to the gym, but I like being at the gym. I don't like going to the gym. Right. So what I do is I make sure that I have a mirror in my house where I can walk by and flex. And I'm like, okay, yeah, goals. That's what I'm going to do when I go to the gym. I'm going to go get some goals. And when I get there, I'm going to flex again in the mirror. Now, not all of us have those types of goals. So maybe for you, it's like a stretch, just that little stretch makes you feel better. Just, okay, I made it. I survived. For some of us, it's turning off the alarm on our phone and just being like, I know I'm in control of my life. I get to turn this off a little bit. Snooze the alarm, snooze the alarm, snooze the alarm. Who's done that before? It makes you feel like a boss. Yeah, snooze again, but only for 5 minutes because I do have to get up at some point. Find things you put pictures in your house. You can listen to music. Change your alarm clock to be some sort of positive affirmation when you wake up. Like change it to something that's going to actually inspire you when you get out of bed in the morning, and it's the first thing you hear. Who can make these changes? We have the technology. We could do this. All right. Awesome. Number 6, a place where failure is not your enemy. Failure is a way to grow. These are environments. These are environments that will force you to grow. So if you're in a place where failure is accepted, now not condoned, but accepted as, hey, this is a part of the learning process. This is part of growing. Like with our community here in Alchemist Nation, anytime somebody says, man, the deal went sideways, it's like, okay, cool. Excellent. At least we've evaluated that. What options do we have to fix it? What options do we have to make the deal get back on track? Because if we could fix it, if we're still alive and we're aware, we can fix it, right? There's no deal that can go so sideways that, nobody's going to die, right? I mean, I haven't seen it yet, right? Financial destruction will not kill you. Financial destruction is just an opportunity, a lesson learned for you to move forward and keep growing. As long as you stay in it long enough. I know people, most of the gurus I hang with have these stories. Like Rod Khleif is a story of, I lost $40 million back in 08. Hands can if you've heard that story from Rod Khleif. I lost $40 million back in 2008. Well, how is it that he's a guru now? How is it he's teaching? It's because after he made that loss, he shifted out of single family, he's gotten a multifamily. And he started showing himself how to invest in multifamily. He started going to the gurus, going to the courses, reading the books, practicing. He just got out there and did some deals. And now he owns millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate. And this is what's really cool about Rod. He's built hundreds of millionaires through teaching multifamily investing. So be in a place where it's okay to fail, and failure is not your enemy. Hands to the camera if you know Alchemist Nation, we're okay with failure as long as you communicate with us. Let us get you to the next level. Let us help you pass the failure. Talk to the coaches, talk to the mentors. You want to be in a place where others are growing. Who here has ever been in a place where everybody was totally fine right where they were? You ever been in a place? I remember working in the office when I worked for Johnson & Johnson. I remember in the cubicles, right? Because I used to be a cubicle hopper, right? Hop cubes, because that's how I was networking even back then. As an accountant, I would hop cubes, and I would go over and I talk to everybody, and just, I was into finance. So like they didn't need to talk to me ever. There's no reason for them to talk to me. But I would go out to all the different cubes. I'd find out what the marketing guys were doing, what the sales guys were doing. I find out what the production guys were doing, because I wanted to understand how to run a big corporation. I want to understand how these big companies operated. Hence, Cam, if you could maybe be that person where you're at right now, right? If you're working a job, you could start looking at it and saying, like, how is this thing working? And so I wanted to be in a place where things were growing. And I noticed in Johnson & Johnson, nobody was growing. Everybody fought to stay in their position. Nobody was seeking out the next position. Nobody was seeking to level up. Everybody was perfectly content because they had benefits. They had severance packages. If they lost their job, they had pensions. Like Johnson & Johnson is one of those companies that still has pensions. Now the pensions are garbage because inflation will just eat it up really quickly. But they were very excited about staying right where they were. There was no incentive to grow, no incentive to level up. Like, because if you leveled up, then you didn't get your pension, you got a severance package, and J&J would just let you go. If you got closer to that chopping block, right? The higher you got up in the company, the more likely you were to get cut in the company as it was continuing to acquire other companies. Hence, Cam, if you understand, that's not a good environment for growth. If everybody around you is staying perfectly steady, like saying fly under the radar. Every day I heard, man, you can't be going to all those cubicles. You should be flying under the radar. Like you're talking to departments outside of finance. You should be very careful, because if somebody starts noticing you, they might go check into your work, and then you might not have a job anymore. And you're so good at finance, you might not want to get into marketing. You might not want to go into that space, because if you go into that space, you're going to fail. And if you've been around those people who are telling you don't go into a new space because you don't know anything about it, and you're probably going to fail if you go into a new space, you just stay in the old space that you got going on. Challenges. So every week we have principles. Every week we have action steps. This week, I'm going to ask you to evaluate your environment. And one more environment I didn't talk about today is your cell phone. The cell phone is an environment. When you pull it up, what's the first thing you see? Right? What's the first thing you see? Your background, right? You see your icons. Those icons always got numbers on the side of them. Is that benefiting you? Are those numbers moving you forward? Are those numbers paychecks, right? I don't mind if your PayPal account's sitting there, it's got numbers on it. Your Venmo account, your Cash App sitting there, it's like numbers. Your Stripe account, like I know Ron Bowling's phone's got the Stripe account. It's sitting just boom, constantly just numbers showing up. Or is it Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, just saying, hey, somebody else made a post today. Like somebody else made a post. We want you to come back to our platform. Come get obsessed. Come fall into the wormhole for a few more minutes. Right? Does your background, is it a picture of like your family? Like, because by the way, family is good. That's a good thing to drive back towards, unless your family's not motivating you. Right? Or is it a picture of like something inspiring for you? For me, it's I attract what I desire. I have that right on my phone. Just 3 words. You attract what you desire. 3 lines. And that just is a constant reminder that whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you track, you get more of. Whatever you think about, you bring about. Now, I'm not saying magical thinking, like just think stuff into existence. What I'm saying is what I think about, I start working towards. Notice this before. I don't think parking spot and hope my car just magically jumps over there. I think parking spot and I drive around looking for the parking spot. And then when I see the opportunity, I jump into that spot. It's the same with action, right? It's the same with your success in your business. You think out what you want and you let your brain start driving you towards it. But you've got to physically move, right? Same with eating. You want to eat something, you don't just think it and then suddenly it's in your belly, right? You think it, you recognize what you want, and then you have to pick yourself up, either order it on your phone or you walk yourself over to the kitchen and you start building that food to consume it. But before you consume it, you still got to make the decision. It can be sitting right in front of you, right? Because success for most of you is sitting right in front of you. The right environment is sitting right in front of you. Most of the time, I guarantee you, it's right in front of you. And that food will sit there and it'll get moldy and it'll get old and you'll get tired and you'll die unless you pick your hand up and you go and you put it into your face. Or you could also move your face right into the food. But either way is an action step. Hands can if you know what I'm talking about. You've got to make the conscious decision to go and take some action. And when you do that, your life changes. But when we're just sitting there trying to think and grow rich, well, it doesn't do anything other than put things in front of you. When you're thinking, the mind will put things in front of you continuously. It'll always put things in front of you. Who here knows there's something right in front of you right now that you should be taking, that you could take? That's an opportunity right in front of you that you could take if you just decided to take the action. Sometimes the action is pick up the phone and call. Sometimes the action is send a text. Sometimes the action is click a button. Sometimes the action is walk outside of your house and go meet with somebody. Sometimes the action is literally to stick to a commitment you already made to somebody. We're catching this? Excellent. Before we go into the book of the week, I do have to say an announcement. Darina last week said we got to do something for Black Friday. Who knows? That's coming up. That's a Friday thing where everybody like gives people deals, all these like benefits and stuff. So I was like, Darina, what are we doing? What are we going to do for Black Friday? We got to do something. And then we'll probably do like a, I don't know, slanted Sunday, Cyber Monday. So the slant's still sliding over to Monday. So we said, let's do the recession-proof challenge. That's my top priority right now. That's how I build millionaires. I bring people into the funnel. Start with recession-proof challenge, then we slide into mastery, and then we hang for a year. We just build everything and we take action. We drive towards it. And she said, well, it's got to be special. You're going to drop the price in the recession-proof challenge? I was like, no way. No way am I dropping the price. It's already too low. Who knows it's a ridiculous deal? Who's been in the recession-proof challenge knows it's a ridiculous deal. Yeah. So I was like, can't drop it anymore. I already dropped it. It's crazy. So she said, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I can add something to it. What if I added a webinar or like a workshop? I said, I'll give them names on deeds. It's $1,000 workshop, but obviously we priced it for $200. So for today, not today. No, it's coming up. It's not yet. You can't do it yet. This is, it's for the recession-proof challenge that starts in December 5th. And then the event, Names on Deeds, we're going to start that in January. So what we're going to do is for Black Friday, Black Friday, Sunday, or Monday, you can jump into the challenge for $97 and get access to Names on Deeds. Names on Deeds, a 3-day workshop where I'm going to go through the entire process of how to put your names on deeds, creative financing, how to evaluate deals, how to find deals in this crazy market. I'm going to give you my super high leverage strategy that we've been using to find deals without having to have too many conversations. Who likes the idea of making it a little simpler to find off-market properties? Oh yeah, you're going to love this one. So the challenge already comes with, if you've already been through it, you know the challenge comes with a whole bunch of really cool things like the daily coaching calls with me personally, the coaching sessions with our live implementation coaches, the digital book on Alchemist Nation. You can go into Alchemist Nation, you actually get each digital work page, the recession-proof virtual group on Facebook. Who here is already in the group, hanging out with each other, seeing each other's successes, posting content? I love seeing it, by the way. You're going to get a ticket to this year's 100 Millionaire Summit, which is only 334 days away. So coming up quick. And you're going to get access to Alchemist Connect for 30 days. So that is coming up Friday, Black Friday. We're going to have the Black Friday sale. So you're going to get all that. Plus, you're getting names on deeds. Hands if you've ever been to names on deeds before, like way back in the day when we used to run it. All right. So we're bringing names on deeds back. And I'm probably going to do it a little bit more often because that's the training that it is required to truly become recession-proof, the technical skills, right? Recession-proof challenge is really about building relationships, about getting the right network. And then names on deeds is about the technical skills for real estate, how to implement, how to get the creative financing, the seller, subject to seller financing deals, the wraparound mortgages that are going to be abundant. They're already starting. Who here's already seen some of those subject to offers where sellers are saying, you know what, take over my mortgage. Yeah, maybe I'll do some seller financing. The sellers are getting more flexible now. And this is just the beginning. As interest rates go up, we're going to see more and more flexibility on the seller side of real estate. We're also going to see prices start shifting downward a little bit. So a lot of great opportunities coming up. Names on deeds is the way we get that. So that was my notice, my announcement. Thank you, Dorina. Let's give Dorina a big round of applause for making sure that I am held accountable to letting everybody know what's going on. I feel like there was one other thing that I was supposed to say. There was one other thing that was happening. Melanie Santos asked me, okay, yeah, here it is. It's Melanie. Melanie asked me to share about Alchemist Connect. We do a training every Wednesday for Alchemist Connect. She wasn't sure like where you can go to ask questions. Is anybody on Alchemist Connect already? And wondering like, okay, like where do I find out like how to do this, how to create workflows, how to build my landing pages, how to create forms, how to connect things. So Wednesday at 2:00, Mark Dozwa and Amy are in there teaching you how to use the platform. So you can ask any questions live, virtual. They'll show you right there on the screen. So we're doing a lot more of the Alchemist Connect training because that is how you automate. That's how you automate the millionaire building process, is to get the text to happen for you. Who here knows you text a lot more people if the machine just did it? Right? You'd be responding to a lot more text if somebody else was texting everybody for you. Is that true? If the machine just went out and texted for you, the AI was out there just being like, hey, Lois has a conversation she wants to have with you. Text me back. Who here always responds to their text for the most part, unless somebody you don't like, in which case delete them from your phone. Just delete. Right? If they're not the right people, get rid of them. If they're not paying you, they might not be the right people. Right? You only get 150 relationships. So make sure that the relationships you've got are people who like you, know you, trust you, and want to pay you. That last part is very important. We talked about it in the Recession Proof Challenge this week. Now, every week I get to talk about something very special. I got a friend of mine who runs this for us. This week is one of Mike Shine's favorite books. I know Mike, likes all the books, but this one he really likes. In fact, this one I believe is the first book that really changed his life, really got him going into this game. So Mike, if you have the book, let's give Michael Shine, the keeper of the books, the holistic attorney, the closer, a big round of applause.
Yeah. I don't have the physical copy down here. I know you do, Walter. I get my books down here. But the book of the week is Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning. And I was thinking about what I was going to say this morning. And this book literally changed my life. So if you haven't picked up this book, I'm telling you, this is the one that made all the changes in my life and led me to be a millionaire just by doing the savers. Every morning we got up like an hour early, Brenda and I, for like 6 months straight. And it was just so impactful, changed our whole environment, changed where we were. And it's got a great story. The book's got an amazing story. I'm not going to ruin the story, but Hal Elrod's story is so inspiring. But then when you get to the savers, which are acronym for silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. If you do that every morning, I went from having no sort of direction in the morning, just would let the world hit me, to having a plan every day and an inspiration every day. So this is really the book. Whenever anybody asks me what book to start with, I always say this, and then I say the first book that you read during the 20 minutes of reading is the Four Agreements. So these are the two books. So start with Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. It'll change your life. Just it'll change everything. It's a great, great book. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Let's give Michael Shine a big round of applause. Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. It's a fantastic book, and one of those books that Darina, I believe it was one of the reasons that I was so attracted to Darina when we first started talking to each other, was that she was reading the book and following savers. She was like doing all these really cool personal development things. Like she was reading books, then she'd share with me the book she just read. And so I didn't have to read the book. I got another friend who was in the same kind of growth environment as me, and I was learning with her. Hence, Karen, if you know you want to be in an environment where other people are learning, we just talked about it. You want to be surrounding yourself with people who are growing. So just by following the steps in the Miracle Morning, you become one of those people that others are attracted to. One of those people that other people are like, oh my God, like I feel better around them. I feel like I'm also growing. Advancing yourself will advance the people around you. The more you advance, the more they advance. The more you learn, the more you grow, the more action you take, because it's really about the experience that you get. It's really about the actions. Because now I love people who have read something, studied something. That's a great conversation, but it's way better when you can apply it. When you're saying, I actually did this. Now, when somebody has actually done something, I trust your advice. Does that make sense? If they're actively doing it, if they've actively gone out and done these deals, I'm like, okay, like you're somebody I can trust on this. But if you just read about it, if you just heard about it, well, I mean, you're the same as everybody else. It's all theory until it's been done, until it's been proven. So do yourself a big favor and go read the stuff from the people who've already done it, right? Study the things from the mentors, the coaches, the guides who've already accomplished what you're seeking out to accomplish. That's why we choose these books. These 52 books are written by successful people who've proven a model, and we copy those models. We bring those models into our lives. Hence, if you're committed to copying success, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already been proven. This thing works over and over and over. And you're going to find every single year as we go into this, you're going to change your environment a little bit more. You're going to improve your environment a little bit more. Every time Wealth Principle 41 comes around, the community has leveled themselves up. Hence, if you've been here more than 3 years, you find yourself improving your environment every time we hit this principle. Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause, our OGs. Look, this mission will not self-destruct, but your business might if you don't take action on it. This is the 52 weeks to wealth. We are in Wealth Principle 41. We've been journeying through the wealth principles for the last 41 weeks. Hence, if you're committed to doing this again next year with us, going all the way through it. So next week, Wealth Principle 42, I'm going to pull it up really quickly. And if you don't know how to find the wealth principles, I'll share my screen. Go to alchemistnation.com. Right on the main page, I slide right over here. It says Millionaire Wealth Principles. You could scroll down. And if you know where we're at, so if we're at 41, which by the way, you can get the books right here. The books are all associated with the principles. Then, you know, next week is 42. Give the impression of increase and advancement. And one of Mike's also favorite books. Hence, if you know, there's a lot of resources out in Alchemist Nation that are designed to grow you, to support you, help you get to the next level. Leverage the 52 weeks to wealth. This is a free course, it's a free training, but just because it's free doesn't mean it isn't the most valuable time that you spend all week. This is the reset. This is the recharge. This is the new call to action. Every single week, we know where we're going because we followed a principle. This is not like advice from friends. This is not like advice from family or your neighbors. Or like the people that think they should know what you're supposed to do in your life. This is advice from people who have been far more successful than you. People who are absolutely crushing it. These are principles that we pulled from multi-millionaires, right? That I've pulled from billionaires in my conversation with billionaires. It's not my advice. This is advice from people smarter than me. Hence, if you understand that. I'm just an organizer of advice. When I see advice, I go and I do advice. I take the actions on it. And that's giving me a great level of experience. Who here wants more experience? Wants a little more understanding, right? We understand the principles. The more we do them, the more we get understanding. And Darina just shot me a text. So you're going to love this. So Darina said that everybody who's on this call can actually jump in and get the Black Friday deal now. So if you're on the call, you can go to challenge.alchemiststation.com and you can get the $97 to register for names on deeds now by clicking the link that someone is going to drop in the chat. It's challenge.alchemiststation.com. Let's give Doreen a big round of applause for hooking you up with an amazing deal now so that you don't have to think about it over the holidays. You can focus on your family. So you can register now, jump in, get the deal. We start December 5th for the challenge. And then names on deeds, I believe, is starting in January. And we'll let you know when that event is registered, when we got it set up. It's a 3 to 4 hour event. So you will get all the information you're looking for. I'm also going to give you a copy of Names on Deeds, a digital copy of the book. Hence, care if you know, it's a tremendous value. It's a lot of value out there. Awesome. I want to open it up to questions now. Remember, we're on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. So make sure all these questions are focused around you becoming a millionaire or getting to that next level, that multimillionaire status. Unmute the microphone. First to go wins.
I've got a question.
Lois, you're up.
So you're talking about surrounding ourselves with people who are where we want to be. What about people that want to follow us? Because I have people calling me up that are where I was a year ago and saying, hey, can we get together? Can we spend time? Blah, blah, blah. So how much time do we focus on people who are where we were?
I love that. So a year ago, not a lot, unless you already have a way to monetize that. If they're where you're at a year ago, I'd find somebody who's a little further ahead and send them that way. Just fire them along. Unless you are actively making money in that conversation, I would fire it to somebody else. Just let them know, hey, you know what? I'm not as good at this as this person. Right? Hey, I understand that you see my success, you see what I've done. And I'm very careful with this, Lois. If you can't make money through it, do not have those conversations. Shift those to somebody else in a loving way so that you can focus on where your business is taking you. And this is difficult advice for me to say on a live call like this where anybody can interpret it however they want. But what I'm saying is that not every relationship is created equal. You probably only get about 10 conversations in a week. The average person only will talk to about 10 people in a week. Are those 10 people paying you or not? If your focus is on making money, then you have to say no to some of these conversations, but don't say no to the person. Shift that person to somebody else who can take care of them better. Does that make sense, Lois? Like instead of sitting, like especially like coffees and lunches, these are a lot of time people will suck from you. Who's been on a coffee or lunch that lasted an hour or 2 hours? And like at the end of it, you're like, I don't feel good. I don't feel like I got anything. I don't feel like I gave anything. I feel like maybe I gave, but I didn't receive. Right. And you know, that is not selfish. That is a self-aware situation. You only get a handful of lunches a week. You only get 7 lunches. So if your 7 lunches are taking 2 hours, that's 10 hours, 14 hours of your week gone with somebody who's not going to pay you. Well, where do you make your money? All right. I make my money on lunch. I would never give lunch away to somebody who's not going to pay me. Does that make sense? I just care if you understand this. Right? Like I got other times that you can have. You can have after I made my money today. If I haven't gone and transacted, if I haven't served at a level where money's coming in, like no, like I'm sorry, we're not going to lunch. We're definitely not doing coffee. You know, I'll hit the gym with somebody if I know we're gonna make money. Right? Like I'll hit the gym with business partners or people who I'm in deals with. Like I can see those conversations, but if we're not making money together, I'm not going to the gym with you. Doesn't make sense to me. Hence, if you could be a little more controlling around your time, a little more decisive, a little more discerning about the relationships you're building. Like I said, I'm not saying say no to them. What I'm saying is say yes to somebody else. Like here you go. Like here's a smarter person than me who solved this problem already. Does that make sense, Lois?
It does. So do I send them to Walter?
if it's something that I'm a specialist in, absolutely. And if it's something one of the other coaches is a specialist in, absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We will gladly receive your friends' problems and transform them into the next level where they're looking to go. Awesome. Mike, I saw your hand first, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, so just funny story. First of all, I went to see Walter one time when he was back in Fall River, and rather than go to lunch, we went and got our hair cut. And obviously, he's got his beard trim and the whole Fall River styling and profiling experience. It was pretty funny, but I don't know if you said this, I was making coffee when we were doing the first 20-minute for the mastery people, but Walter has an amazing feng shui setup in his house with big stacks of money, Bitcoin coins, money, creatures like Buddha stuff and all sorts of, so maybe you can just talk about that a little bit, Walter, because I think it's super, super helpful.
I like that, Mike. And I focused a lot of that in last year, and I didn't bring it up this year. So let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. Very good point. Darina knows nothing enters the house without passing through me first. Like I'm not the guy who's like, oh, decorate the house however you want. I'm like, no, this area is specifically for things that make me feel good about money. This area is specifically for things that make me feel good about our relationship. This area is for creativity. This area is for having fun with the family. And so every space has things that empower that activity. For example, my desk at all times has stacks on it, right? It makes great props, but even better, I spend more time off camera than I do on camera. While I'm in front of this desk, so I'm sitting over there looking at 100 grand because I think about, 100 grand a month, 100 grand a week. How do we get 100 grand a day? Hence, Cam, if you're on that level, you're thinking about 100 grand all the time, right? I like the 100, right? My affirmations sit on my desk at all times, right? I know the affirmations. I'm thinking alchemist mindset. Like, how do we move forward? How do we change? How do we be in creative versus competition? Some of those things that Mike mentioned, right? I have money in my house. It costs me $800 to have $1 million in my house. That's prop money. That's movie money. That's what all the rappers have, right? So for me, I said I'm gonna spend and make an $800 investment so that when I walk into my house, I know what $1 million looks like. I know what $1 million feels like. I can manifest that $1 million. Chance Karen, if you could do something like this in your house also. Now, here are some rules around feng shui. You don't put the gold coins or the $1 million or the, I use like fake diamond jewelry back in the day. I used to clean out houses and I have all the fake jewelry. We'd separate the real gold from the fake gold from our tenants. And I'd take all that jewelry and I'd go and I'd stack it in like a jewelry box. Like I just overflow that thing. So it felt like, man, just abundance and riches. Hence, Karen, if you recognize that, it didn't cost me anything, but it felt really good. It was like, man, look at all this, right? You don't put those on the kitchen table. It does not belong there. You don't put those out in the entry, in the hallway, where like it's the first thing somebody sees when they come into your house. We understand this? That goes back into the lair. That's in your living room. It's in your money corner. It's in a protected space, the back of the house with no doors where somebody else could get into it. It's in a safe space in your home that you can go when you're relaxing at the end of the day, when you're thinking about what you want to create in this world. Feng Shui is designed in such a way so that every piece of your house actually has a space. This called something called a boudoir map. I don't want to go too deep into it, Mike, but go and learn a little bit about Feng Shui, and then create your own Feng Shui. Right? It's really up to you. Like Feng Shui is supposed to be golden coins and elephants with their trunk up and golden ships and stuff. There's a lot of stuff around it, but what I found is in the modern age, this works for me. Right? Bitcoins work for me. I have 20 Bitcoins here in my house, 20 of these little copper coins. This one's silver. Thanks to Steve Cut. Let's give Steve a round of applause. Appreciate the gift, brother. But I have 20 of them because that's one of my goals. I'd like to own 20 Bitcoin. Can I tell you just how easy owning 20 Bitcoin is today compared to what it was 6 months ago? Man, like 6 months ago when I set the goal, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It looks like I'm going to have to go and grab like $1.5 million of cash and throw it in there. Right now, owning 20 Bitcoin looks a lot like $300,000. Hence, if you recognize it's getting a lot easier. So I set these goals and I let the Feng Shui kind of pull me forward to it. It reminds me of something I've set that I'm going to own, that I'm going to do. I keep these. This is another gift. This is a gift that Mike Shine sent me, right? Large multifamily building, right? A large skyscraper. One of the goals that I have with like a lot of the community members, a lot of the coaches especially, are want to own some skyscrapers, want to own some really cool buildings. So I just have these in my desk. Is that a cool share? Cool awareness? All right, let's give Mike Shine one more big round of applause. Environment is stronger than willpower. Make sure your environment gets you juiced, gets you feeling good. Chong Yang, you're up, brother.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to share a quick fitness tip if anybody's interested. I used to work out 3 to 5 hours a day, and a lot of it was for fight training and just crazy nonsense because that's just what I love to do. But for me, it's always been about working very targeted, very specific, but very time efficient, right? And so that's why you guys see me with the electrical muscle stimulation. It's kind of a cheat, but it's also not, because it really kicks your ass really bad. But because it's really colder in Minnesota, I said, I gotta work smarter, and I gotta find something that I don't have an excuse. So I went and bought a rower. I didn't buy a cheap rower. I bought something that, okay, you gotta spend the time because you bought the damn thing. You gotta use it, right? And so the thing about the rower is that it's total body workout. I mean, it works everything, right? The front stroke, the back stroke, I mean, you name it. And my commitment since I started was, after I got my license, once I got things going, I got to get back into shape, because I just put 100% into real estate and developing myself. But anyway, so right now I'm doing 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. Yeah, and it's only been a week and a half, and again, I'm ready, changing my body, my strength, everything's like coming back. And so I would encourage anybody who's looking for an easy tip. It's right in front of you every morning before you go to bed. Just jump on it. 10 minutes. I mean, how long is 10 minutes? It's short. You can't complain, right? So that's what I do.
And Sean, this goes back to last week's wealth principle, right? Like power of habit. This idea of creating keystone habits, where if you work out in the morning, you feel better throughout the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just force your environment to make you do a little bit of a workout. Dorina has this pull-up bar in the house, and we used to put it right outside of our bedroom. So like there was no chance that you wake up in the morning, you weren't going to go and sit, like, okay, bang out a couple pull-ups. And the pull-up bar was right there, like taunting you.
Yep.
And we did it in the bedroom, because the bedroom's a room I don't go to very often. So and if I am going there during the middle of the day, I want a little pain for going in there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I want to be like, I didn't put it on my office door, because if it was on my office door or on the bathroom or to the kitchen, game over. I wouldn't be able to get it done, right? My arms would be blowing out really quick. Let's give Chong Yang a round of applause. It's a very, very good pro tip. What else? We got a few more minutes. I'll hang with you guys.
Put that in the chat with that stimulator.
The roller?
Yeah.
Oh, the stimulator. She wants to know how to get those biceps, Chong.
I'll be happy to put it in, and you can reach out if you have questions and tips. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very cool. What else? Biggest takeaway from this, or a tip, something you've changed in your environment that has improved your life, something, whether you removed a friend or you got into a better environment, or something that has improved your life. Go ahead, Mike.
I started hanging out with Walter Amarello. Let's give Walter a round of applause. Swear to God, it was a game changer. Game changer. Appreciate you, man.
Game
Thank you,
changer, Mike. Game changer for real. All of you guys, actually, for me, it's not just Walter. So it's Mike, Heidi, Doug, it's everybody. Ron, Amy.
Deborah, don't forget Mitch. I got Mitch right here with me.
Mitch, yeah, Mitch. I want that song, because that song, I was like, what's that song that you was dancing to? You had me rocking.
Hodl Gang. Hodl Gang.
What's that-
Hodl
what's that
Gang.
song?
You can look it up on
Huddle Gang.
YouTube.
That's the Huddle Gang song.
I'll put
Everyone,
the
Huddle
link
Gang.
to it.
Yeah,
Thurman knows
'cause
what
Mike
it is. Dropping in
Mitch
there.
was
I was
he act like he was
watching
Snoop
it.
Dogg.
Huddle Gang, Huddle Gang. You know what? That is awesome segue, Deborah, into we need a rap quote.
Rap quote of the week.
In fact,
Mitch.
Walter, if I may, can I do a quote from a rapper and then also a rap quote?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to start out with the quote from a rapper. Everyone knows who P. Diddy is. That guy went from like 0 to 100. Not really, really quick, but pretty quick. And he said, pay attention to whom your energy increases and decreases around. That's the universe giving you subtle hints on who you should keep around and who you should stay away from, which falls really good with this week's wealth principle of being in an environment that levels you up, right?
Wow. Let's give Mitch Jorsky a round of applause. I like that quote from a rapper, but now I want a rap
A rap
from the
quote.
crypto cat himself.
Well,
Yeah, you got
I'm not really a rapper, but I like to quote the raps.
quote a rap.
So I was sitting in one of these environments last night. Me, Mel, Dorina, Teresa were hanging out.
You get a tap.
I was also there. I was in the environment as well.
Walter was there. He was part. I thought that goes without saying. But anyway, sitting in that environment, and I'm like, yeah, this is that type of environment. And I looked at everyone, and I just realized something. I'm like, we're a Mother Loving Drake song, because every single one of us started from the bottom. Now we're here. Started from the bottom. Now my whole freaking team's here. Started from the, and it's true. And that's the environment you want to be in.
Let's give Mitch Jaworski a big round of applause. It was epic hanging out with Mitch and Melanie and Dorina last night and Teresa. We were out late. And when it came to time to go home, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're in Ybor City in Tampa, and we're negotiating, can we bring cigars into the hookah lounge? Like, this was the conversation. And then I realized I have a garage at the house that is totally cigar friendly. And I also have a nice hookah at the house. So this was where the night where we made a mistake. So we go back to the house, and Mitch became the DJ. And obviously from my days in COVID, I have all these lights. I bought all the lights so I can like create a club in my own house. So I put them all on, and Mitch is DJing like motivational song after motivational song. Like, it was just like a really fun night. And then it was 3 a.m. And we still had the 52 weeks to wealth to jump on this morning. So let's give Mitch a round of applause. An epic DJ.
Gracias.
Thank you, brother.
I'm out.
Telling you, life is fun. Surround yourself with the best people, right? It is about the quality of the people around you. You're in Alchemist Nation. Dive deeper into these programs. Dive deeper into the Recession Proof Challenge. Get into the network, right? Go on Alchemist Nation and drop a post. Create some content for yourself. Sometimes just posting your tips of things that you learned from these calls is valuable to somebody else who wasn't on the call or who wanted to take that note, totally forgot about it, and it is lost for them forever until they go and they read your post. Who's already experienced that? Somebody else dropped a post and you were like, oh my God, like, thank God they put that in there. Be one of those people. If you got something from this, go and drop it in Alchemist Nation. I guarantee you somebody is going to be thankful that you dropped it out there, because I know I go back and I watch them and I'm like, oh man, like, yeah, I said that smart thing, but that's like really smarter when I hear it myself than when it came out of my mouth. Does that make sense? I gain value from your shares, even if I said it or Doug said it or Mike said it or Mitch said it. Thurman, I see your hand, brother. Go ahead. You're muted. Your hand's up, but the mute is on.
Yeah. No, I was gonna ask. I think I know what your answer to this question is gonna be, but I'm just gonna ask it anyway for everyone else. So I was thinking, if you only had to like pick one of these 7, which one would you pick, like, to get you there the fastest?
I would surround myself with a community. I would do a mastermind. I'd surround myself with a community that is ahead of me and growing. And you can literally see it in my life, right? I just spend the money to get myself into a network that is ahead of me and growing. And no, I wasn't spending $25,000 years. Actually, no. When I didn't have the money, I spent $35,000. That was the first real notch up that I got. Maybe it was the second one. The previous one was I spent $10,000 to get into a network, but I didn't really know how to use it. When I spent that $35,000, I knew how to use the network. I knew that it was the people that I was looking to be around. So Thurman, I would say, because sometimes you have to pay to be in these places. They're not like, people don't always have great high level places for you to hang out without being paid for it. It's what I've discovered. Like, sometimes, like what Mitch has created for the crypto scene on Tuesday nights, like, that's really fantastic. His crypto mastermind, that I know he charges for it, but I didn't have to pay to get in there. So sometimes some of the things that I get involved with are super tremendously valuable to me, even though I didn't pay. I still show up because it was, it's a valuable place that somebody else has created. So mastermind, build one of your own. Just here's one of the challenges of building your own masterminds is you may not get people who are high enough ahead of you to push you forward. But either way, you should still have some sort of mastermind that's a group that's moving in the same direction. We have our marketing team. Like, our marketing team is a mastermind for us, where we're always thinking about how do we bring more people to Alchemist Nation? How do we build more millionaires? How do we make this products better? How do we serve better? So like, that's a mastermind. It's a form of a mastermind that we do every week. And just all of my business partners get into that. We're just constantly focusing on how do we make this better? And so masterminds can come in many forms, but like, the best environment shift that you can make truly is the people you're spending the most time with. Sometimes just changing your job, Thurman. Like if you got a job that isn't like growing you, then just change your job. Like if you need money anyway, and you got to work somewhere anyway, go to a place that's gonna be more inspiring. Right? Like this is for anybody who's working 9 to 5 right now. Then just see if you can change to a company that has a better culture. When I went to Johnson and Johnson, even though my particular office wasn't a great culture, Johnson and Johnson was. Like their whole slogan was never stop moving. They were a big conglomerate. They just acquired a whole bunch of businesses. So even though the people weren't necessarily the best, the theme and the culture behind the business were fantastic. And I took a lot of that. So sometimes you just change your environment inside your head, how you perceive your environment. Start looking at it a little bit differently and pull everything from wherever you are. And long story short, masterminds, Thurman, like masterminds. That has been my high leverage, super secret, not a secret tactic. And I still will use that. And I will still pay to be in the higher level masterminds, because if somebody can't afford to be in there, that means I know financially they're in a place that I want to be. There are masterminds right now that I'm aiming at that are $100,000 to get into. There are masterminds that I'm aiming at that are $1 million to get into, that I'm just like, man, that's like Tony Robbins charges $1 million for his super high level mastermind. Like that's the sort of thing that I'm looking. I know in that room, they're all on their way to billion, but they're all 100 millionaires. Like they all have at minimum of $100 million in their business. So it's, keep leveling yourselves up. And yeah, I love that. That's a great question, Thurman. That's what mastery is, right? Mastery is full of people who are at your level or ahead of you. That's like just how we built it. That's why it's got a lot of multimillionaires in there, and it's got people who are already millionaires in there, and it's got everybody else who's being pulled up by this group that has knowledge, that has experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in it. Let's give Thurman a round of applause. You're in the right place, taking the right actions, hanging with the right people.
Yeah, no, I thought that was gonna be your answer. Well, not masterminds, but I was gonna say like the answer is people.
Yes.
Because that's how even my life changed. My whole life changed when I met this rich girl, and she was the first rich person I ever met. So, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, people is the answer. But yeah,
People is the answer. And to level up on people, the richer they are, whatever it takes to get around them. Like absolutely whatever it takes to get around them. You want to change your income. Like I do a show with Vinny. Like I do a lot of shows. I'm busy. I got things going on. But Vinny is a billionaire. And so when he said, hey, let's do a show, I was like, yes. I want to be very clear. I did not want to do another show. Absolutely did not want to do another show. I did not want another commitment in my life. But when Vinny said, let's do a show, I said, I have on my board like 5 people that I'm pouring into this year. 5 people I'm just going to give absolutely everything to. And Vinny was one of them. So I said, yes. Like, yeah, I guess we're going to go do another show. That's what we're doing. But it's Thursdays. We're born out of whatever it takes to get around Vinny as much as I possibly can.
awesome.
People. Well done, Thurman. Let's give Thurman James a round of applause. He's crushing it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday. Go give a hug, a smile, a high five. Give some sort of positive energy to somebody else. You're going to notice you give positive energy to other people, you're going to receive positive energy in return. Go out and show the world that you are here to solve their problems. We are in a recession. Thank God. This is what alchemists were born for. This is what we were trained for. When winter shows up, we're letting people know spring is coming. Sell us your properties. Invest your money with us. Trust us, because we've got your back. We're going to get you a great return. We're going to get you to the place that you want to be in. Handscan, if you're committed to serving others during this winter, letting them know what you do, where you're going to be, how you're going to be leveling up. Continue building yourself. Continue focusing on the dream that you have. Continue focusing on serving people who have money. Be very careful. This is a book I learned from the Go-Giver. People who have the ability to give are also the most broke people on the planet. Givers are the most broke and the most rich at the same time. There's both sides of the spectrum are the givers. The takers and the matchers are the people in the middle. Takers and matchers, the takers just take from you. They're in the middle. And matchers will give if you give, they'll take if you take. That group is in the middle. But on either side are the givers. The most broke people on the planet have big giving hearts. And the richest people on the planet, the billionaires, have big giving hearts. So if that's true, then what is the difference? Go ahead, Mike.
Just, I recommend everybody read Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning, but, you know, I know Mel is always saying, you know, she wanted to know what the next book is. And You Are a Badass is next week's book by Jen Sincero. So if there's ever a book that takes all the books and puts them all together, it's You Are a Badass. It's so inspiring. It's like Walter was saying, something that'll get you amped up, pumped up, and ready to go. Yeah, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. So read it this week, and you can constructively criticize my my review of it next week.
I'll answer
I
the
like
question.
that.
Thank
Go ahead,
you
Lois.
for sharing. Because I got this wrong on the 30-day challenge. So if you don't go, if you're not part of the 30-day challenge, do it, because you just might know some answers on the 52 weeks of wealth call. The difference between the givers that are poor and the givers that are rich are who you are giving to.
Let's give Lois a round of applause. And I quoted the wrong book. That actually comes from a book called Givers and Takers. And the whole book, the premise of this entire book was, if you're a matcher, you're screwed. If you're a taker, it will one day take you down. But if you're a giver and you're not rich, it's because of one flaw. Like Lois just said, you're not giving to other givers. When you give to other givers, you continuously grow each other. You're continuously growing, and there's no other option other than growth. When you give to takers, they take. When you give to matchers, you have the same amount. But when you give to givers, you continuously level up. Both of you are leveling up. Your whole community is leveling up. Givers who give to givers become millionaires, become multimillionaires, become billionaires. Hence, Karen, if you're committed to continue giving, but shifting who you're giving to, giving your time, giving your energy, giving your attention. The most valuable asset you have is your attention, because what you think about, you bring about. Giving your money to, make sure you're giving it to people who are inspired to give back, who have a deep burning desire to give back in a way that you are looking for. Because giving stuff that you're not interested in, that doesn't really help either. That's not true listening. Hands can, if you understand. Give what they seek, and they'll be compelled to give back, and you get to keep playing the game. So very important lesson. So go out and give some hugs, give some high fives, give some positive energy, give some inspiration, give some intention to the world that it is a place becoming better. This recession had to happen. Is just a correction, is just a thing that was necessary in order to get us back on track to continue growing. There are things growing right now. Every single tree in the ground during winter is still growing. It's lying dormant, preparing itself for spring. Your business may be in that same situation. So right now is the time to be taking action, building relationships, going deeper with your roots, letting people know what you do, building yourself, letting yourself know what you do. If you haven't made the million, start convincing yourself that you are on your way to making the million. The million is on its way to you because you're doing what it takes. You're giving to other givers, giving to people who are willing to pay you for your time, giving to people who are willing to trade assets with you, giving to people who are willing to trade information with you. Giving will always lead to more giving, to more people giving back to you. And while you're giving, final piece of advice, be willing to receive. Be willing to open your heart and be willing to receive what other people are willing to give back, regardless of how it comes, what form it comes. If you were looking for money, but they gave you love, that's okay. Receive the love, because love transfers into money on some other conversation. Does that make sense? Right? Just keep putting it out there. Keep putting it out there, but also be willing to receive. I love each and every one of you. I'm so thankful for your dedication, to your commitment to yourself, to your commitment to this community, to the commitment to the idea that you can become better, greater, faster, stronger, smarter, creating versus competing. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best. I'll see you
Happy
next week.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
And happy Thanksgiving. We
Eat
got a lot to be
everything.
grateful for.
Who cares about your weight? Eat it all.
That's right. It's all protein.
Stuffing is protein.
I'm on that gain train. Let's get those mashed potatoes and rice.
Take care.